So we've got this story out of a small New Jersey township where a plan for the future slammed right into one family's very, very long history. It really makes you ask a tough question. When is it okay for the public good to take over private land? Let's get into it.
You know, this entire messy conflict really boils down to just one number, 176. That's how many years the Brennan family has owned and worked their farm. To put that into perspective, this piece of land has been in their family longer than some states have even been part of the U.S.
Yeah, the family's lawyer put it just like that, connecting the farm to a timeline that we can all wrap our heads around. We're not just talking about a piece of property here. This is a legacy. A legacy that started before one of the most defining moments in American history. And that legacy? Well, it was about to face a very modern threat.
Okay, so let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this. Why on earth would a township want to seize a piece of local history? Well, it turns out, like a lot of communities, they were under some serious pressure from the state.
And this right here, this chart really shows you the town's core problem. They had a legal mandate, a requirement, to build 265 new affordable housing units. But when they looked around for places to build, the available land was tiny, scattered. It's a classic squeeze, a huge requirement, and basically no good options.
So, while they were searching for a solution, their eyes landed on one single, large, clear plot of land with just one owner, the Brennan farm. You can see how, to them, it probably looked like the perfect answer to their problem. A single deal for one huge project. Easy, right? And that was their official line in court. They argued that taking the farm wasn't just the easiest option, they claimed it was the only option. They were trying to paint this picture of absolute necessity, that their hands were completely tied. But Mr. Brennan saw things very, very differently.
Now we get to the farmer's response, and honestly, this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. He didn't just show up with an emotional plea about his family's history. Nope, he came armed with facts.
Mr. Brennan walked into that courtroom not just as a farmer fighting for his home, but as a citizen who had done his homework. He knew the township's entire case was built on this idea that there were no other options, and he was about to blow that argument right out of the water.
So the second he tries to present what he found, the township's lawyer jumps up and tries to shut him down. The logic was basically, hey, he's a farmer. What could he possibly know about city planning? It was a classic move, right? Try to discredit the person so you don't have to deal with their evidence.
But the judge let him speak, and this is what Mr. Brennan presented. Not just some vague ideas, but a specific, detailed list. 7 different properties, adding up to 31 acres, all sitting right in the town's urban core. Exactly the kind of development planners are usually looking for. He hadn't just found alternatives, he'd found better alternatives. And that list changed everything. Suddenly, the case wasn't about the town's needs versus a family's history anymore. It was now about a very specific and very important legal principle. The whole case now hinged on this one question. What does the law actually mean when it says the government can take private property for public use? Is it good enough for something to be convenient for the government, or does it have to be truly, absolutely necessary?
And this is the absolute key. Public necessity sets a really high bar. It means the government can't just pick the easiest or the cheapest path. They actually have to prove that their plan is essential and that there are no other reasonable ways to get it done. And this right here reveals the fatal flaw in the township's whole case. Mr. Brennan, the farmer, had done the basic research that the town's own planners hadn't bothered to do. They had stood in court and claimed the farm was the only option without ever actually studying any others.
And with that, the judge delivered the verdict. It's such a direct and powerful statement. The township simply had not met the most basic legal standard required to take away someone's land.
And there it is. Case closed. The farm was safe. A 176-year-old legacy was saved because one man did his research and refused to let his family's history become the government's convenient shortcut.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this whole case is just a powerful lesson in the massive difference between what is truly necessary and what is just plain convenient.
This chart really sums it all up, doesn't it? The township was focused on convenience. One big plot, one owner, one easy deal. But the law demands necessity, a real investigation proving no other options exist. Mr. Brennan basically forced the court to focus on that right-hand column, and that's exactly why he won.
And that leaves us with this final, tough question. I mean, This case had a pretty clear winner, but these kinds of conflicts aren't always so black and white. It really makes you think about where we, as a society, should draw that line between building for our collective future and protecting an individual's past. Definitely something to chew on.